The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the pit complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard.
Viva Las Vegas! Hello and welcome to Nevada for the fourth round of the HPP Simulation Pursuit of the Pedals in the 2016 iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series. And we're going to have it all for you live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Tanner Sharp. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and our camera sets are provided by Dougie Beard. Just 8 drivers now remain in the fight for the championship, and they will all have 3 rounds to try and advance into the final 4. And any of them can do that tonight, Tanner, with a win here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yes, sir, Sam. Las Vegas Motor Speedway is a 1.5-mile racetrack, 1.5, with 20 degrees of banking in turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. 100 laps tonight. These drivers will be turning with a 60% fuel load, so approximately 1 to 2 pit stops, and the fuel window should be opening about 34 laps. It's a fixed setup, so there's no advantage anybody's gaining tonight, with the exception of changing your brake bias, which is something new to iRacing in fixed sessions. Otherwise, everybody is running the same setup. Weather tonight is actually pretty clear, Sam. It's 66 degrees air temperature, and the track temperature is 95, so relatively cool out tonight here in Vegas. And so the cars may want to tighten up on a longer run. So before we get into all the hot topics and the racing, let's hop on board on the Silverado Chevrolet of here on Global Sim Racing Channel.
Hello, I'm James Grahula with the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm going to take you for a lap in the trucks around Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Coming for your qualifying lap, the trucks have a lot of grip depending on what type of weather we're having. Look to have trucks going wide open in qualifying. Right there on the bottom, you want to run the shortest line around the track when you still have the grip. On here to the Nellis straightaway, we head into turn 3. Turn 3 is going to be a little bit tighter than 1 and 2. Your qualifying lap, you're going to want to head down all the way to the apron and get the shortest line. That apron is an option during the race. Look for some drivers to take advantage of that. As the run goes on, look for trucks to start venturing out to the higher lanes as the track becomes more rubbered. This is a progressive banking track, so you're going to see drivers heading up there to get the higher banking and hopefully find some more grip up there. Alright, let's look at a pit stop. Right in the middle of 3 and 4, you're going to want to start slowing down and getting on the brakes. Now, the pit road has been changed here in the last couple years. It's not as tight as it used to be, but still pretty tricky. And there is your lap around the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Well, so that is what it's like around this 1.5 mile speedway. Very fast, and as Tanner mentioned, the cooler conditions should only increase those speeds tonight. We have 8 drivers left fighting for the championship. These drivers just came out of the elimination round of 12, which was 3 races that knocked it down from 12 drivers to 8 drivers. These are the 8 drivers remaining. Nick Cohan, Brian Jarzik, all the way down to Austin Missler there. They're all tied on points, so whichever driver finishes out in front of all these tonight will go into the next round, which is in a few weeks' time at Talladega, with the points lead. And knowing the next race is Talladega, Tanner, you might want to get your win tonight, because anyone could be involved in a big one there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Talladega, that's like a flip of a coin and who's going to win that race, especially with all the drafting going on. But tonight we are at Vegas, and you want to get your win tonight. That way you don't have to worry about the next 2 races whatsoever. You would be automatically locked into the next round. But the thing is, there's no bonus points going to be given towards that next round. So if you want to try to win this championship, you got to win tonight, and that way you can secure yourself into the next round and not worry about Talladega.
Yeah, the bonus points, of course, won't be carried over to the elimination round of 4. Now, one of our chase drivers, our pursuit drivers rather, Pursuit of the Pedals, the winner of his championship gets a set of HPP simulation pedals. One of our pursuit drivers lost the connection from the session during practice, and that was Bryce Whitson. I can tell you right now, he lives about 30 minutes down the road from me, and I hear thunder outside. I'm a little concerned that Bryce may have had a power cut there, and that's why we won't see the 00 out there tonight, at least not as of right now. He's got 5 minutes before we begin getting gridded up. You see all these trucks on track right now trying to turn a qualifying lap. They each have the track to themselves for 2 laps, and there's about 22 drivers in total. So let's see who goes fastest.
Yeah, you talked about Bryce Whitson there, Sam, and I'll tell you what, Mother Nature can still strike you even if you're sim racing inside your own home. So hopefully Bryce Whitson can get back into the server here tonight to go racing, and if not, he's going to have a lot of making up to do towards the next 2 races, starting with Talladega.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be depending on the win at Talladega. Right now, these drivers there, you see Austin Missel on course, he has gone fastest, but he's just been pipped by Gary Whitson, and all the times are still rolling in. The way this track works, Tanner, usually lap 1 is fastest for these trucks, because they can do it flat out, the tyres are still fresh, so we should know our grid pretty quickly here.
Yeah, and the longer you go on tires, the more the tires is going to wear, and with iRacing increasing the tire wear about 1.5 years ago and haven't really touched the wear since, I mean, your fastest lap is going to be lap 1, and that's pretty much what I'm seeing. There's some pretty close lap times that are pretty much even what I saw in practice, but a driver I do want to keep an eye on tonight for this new round is going to be Brian Yazdick. He's been extremely competitive each and every single week. About last week at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, he led the most laps and won the race, and he also won Chicagoland and was 1 lap short on leading the most laps. So Brian Yazdick's going to be a guy to watch out for tonight.
Yeah, looks like Brian's going for a second lap here, and I think Austin Missler actually did go fast on his second lap. That's not official, but it looks like that's what happened. He isn't the provisional pole sitter anymore, though. That's Jeffrey Bell. Let's see if Brian Yazdick can take it from them. He was 4th fastest on his first lap, as you see on screen right now, coming down the front straight, using all of that apron, cross the line, and remains in 4th position. Do you think we're going to see drivers using the apron tonight there, Tanner?
On the front stretch here and there, yes. Some guys may play a little conservative, but if you're trying to get up towards the front a little quicker or trying to gain on the guy ahead of you, you can use that apron as an advantage just a little bit. You can gain about 100th of a second on the guy by using that apron. It's not like in the apron that you would see at Chicagoland Speedway where you can use the whole apron. You got to be careful down there because it can get really loose down there, and if you clip that grass down there, the way it's all designed down there, if you clip the grass part, you can get really loose and go for a slide. So you just got to be careful if you're going to use that apron.
Several trucks have yet to turn the time, but looks like they're doing that optionally and going to elect to start from the back of the field. We'll have 1 pace lap around here to read you the full grid momentarily. Meanwhile, let's give you another small update on the championship of 4 drivers who were eliminated from the elimination round of 12 to the elimination round of 8. Those were Jeffrey Gilliam, Milt Matisse, Aaron Kleinhans, and Robert Barney. Hopefully they'll still make appearances throughout the rest of the season, go out there for some race wins, but they won't be fighting for the championship anymore this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much all, I mean, it's racing for honor right now. I mean, doing everything you can to go out there and win a race. That's all it means right now until the next season.
And we got 21 drivers, with the absence of Bryce, about to go out there and try and get a race win tonight. Actually 20, because Drew Carroll, who you'll also see listed on the grid, isn't in the session right now. Well, no trucks are on track and qualifying is about to wrap up, so let's go ahead and read that grid for you, beginning with our True Power Pole Award winner. That is Jeffrey Bell in the number 67, exactly 1/100th of a second, although our timing disagrees with me there, just a little bit more than 1/100th of a second, over Austin Missler in second place. Then you got Gary Whitson and Brian Yazdick on the second row. Scott Formosa, not a name we're all too familiar with, starting there in 5th place alongside Josh Tanner. Mark McCrary has really impressed in the past couple of races since joining the series. He'll start 7th alongside Troy Haight. Michael Krobach and Jordan Erickson round out the top 10.
And outside the top 10, starting 11th tonight, is that number 21 truck, the Jerky House truck. Nick Cohan, the Jerky Man, starting 11th. Nicky Formosa starting 12th tonight. Alan Young in 13th. Edward Bray in the 14th position. Jonathan Holstein, the last truck to take a qualifying time, will start 15th. Mr. Excitement himself, Drew Carroll, will start 16th. Bryce Whitson in 17th. Jeffrey Gilliam in 18th. Mark Myers in 19th. Aaron Cleanhounds running out the top 20. Jackie Pelmore 21st. And Tim Knott in 22nd.
And of course, all of those trucks starting behind Drew Carroll and Bryce Whitson there will get to move up a spot. Now, Michael Crowbox starting in 9th position. That's a bit further back in the field, I think, than what we're used to seeing him, but we know he can definitely get the job done from back there. Also, I mean, a couple of big names that starting in the middle of the field there. Jordan Erickson 10th and Nick Cohan 11th.
Yeah, Jordan Erickson's a bit of a surprise to start in the middle of the field, but he wasn't very fast in practice either. He is 11th fastest, and he qualified 10th, so he's around that area, but outside the top 10, inside the top 10 kind of truck tonight. Hopefully he's able to produce to get that thing up towards the top 5. I did mention Brian Yazik's another one to watch out for, but another one to watch out for if it comes to strategy. It is Nick Cohan. Nick Cohan loves to play some weird, wacky strategy, and surprises the heck out of me every time it works. So watch out for Nick Cohan as well.
All 20 drivers who are in the session are gridded up, so the Ford Mustang pace car leading them around for one lap here at this 1.5 mile speedway. Now they can get about 34 laps on fuel, 100 laps, you do the math, they will be forced to pit about 2 times there. But because they're going so fast here, Tanner, honestly, the front runners will probably be flat out for the first 2 or 3 laps. Tyres will be key. If they get like a 15 lap run or so in, you might see some 2-tyre strategy, but I think every time we see a caution tonight, pit road will be a bit busy.
Pit world will be a bit busy as well, and it wouldn't surprise me if a caution comes out early and drivers would take 2 right side tires. 2 right side tires can keep you up towards the front, but if we do get a long run, those 2-tire guys may slip back. So that's one thing to also watch out as well tonight.
Alright, Ford Mustang pace car leading them through turn 3 and 4, and then our True Power Pole Award winner Jeffrey Belt in the number 67 Toyota Tundra. One of the drivers who is not a part of the pursuit for the championship, so he is just going to be out there trying to get the win tonight. And with a pace like that in qualifying, he can definitely do it, but can he hold that up in the long run? We're about to find out. Ford Mustang pace car is off. Jeffrey Belt has control of the field. He's bringing them down slow, but now they go. Here we go. We are racing at Las Vegas.
Using the apron early right off the bat here as Gary Whitson gets side by side with Austin Missler at the start of the race. He made clear him. Here comes Brian Yazik right behind Gary Whitson as they enter down at turn 1.
All of them going flat out through turns 1 and 2, and here goes Brian Yazik using the slipstream, the draft, to get down the inside of Gary Whitson. These are the great opening lap for the second.
Yes, sir. Using that bottom early, racing it early. I just wonder how much these guys are really going to push the tires, since they do wear pretty quick here, as Jeffrey Belt will lead the first lap here in Vegas.
And no free repairs in this series, so you want to be careful about how closely you're racing each other, especially considering the fact 100 laps is a long time. Yeah, Josh Tanner and Gary Whitson got close there.
Yeah, that was a close call, but I'm not seeing any markings on either truck, so far so good between the two drivers.
Yeah, I think Josh Tanner just threw it in there a bit heavy, but he was able to keep it stuck down there on the low side. Maybe later in the run he won't be able to do that. But so far, so clean as they complete lap 2 of 100.
Yeah, on lap 3 right now, and these guys, maybe about 6 to 8 laps, they might start feeling that tightness out of the truck. I mean, they are using a 60% fuel load. The truck can handle a little differently to 100% fuel load.
Yeah, Jeffrey Bell, I'm a little worried about how his truck is going to be holding up in the long run, because he really is checked out on the rest of the field. You've got to wonder if that's going to burn his tyres off quicker than the rest. See if Brian Yazik and Scott Formosa running up in 3rd place. See if they can run him down in the long run.
Yeah, Scott Formosa, I'm not recognized with that name too often. I do believe he ran last week in Vegas, as we got a truck on the apron. That's the race leader.
Well, we'll find out what happened here. Did he get loose out of turn 2? No, he's just pulling it into the pits.
He just pulled, yeah, he's pulling the pit. He actually pulled her off of turn number 2 there, Sam. I wonder if he's having some technical malfunction issues.
He slowed all the way down to 35, and now he's picked it back up to the pit road speed limit. Whatever happened, this has gave Brian Jarzik a lead, but for how much longer? Scott Formosa and Josh Tanner all over the back of him.
Yeah, so Brian Jarzik is now going to be your race leader, and Gary Whitson, he actually started 3rd, well, only lost a spot since the start of the race. So far, he's hanging pretty swell in the top 5, along with Austin Missler, who started 2nd, currently in 5th. Looks like everybody's all spread out right now, but we got a big gaggle of cars from Nick Cohan, the jerky man, on back with Jordan Erickson.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by Austin Missler at the start of the race. He started in 2nd place. Now, granted, that low side was the place to be in the early laps, and he kind of just dropped back to what would have been 6th place, of course, before Jeffrey Bell came into the pits, and it moved him back up to 5th. I wonder if he's thinking about the long run. Problem is, the top 3 trucks have really broke away from this pack.
Yeah, they really have. So, and right now they're probably just taking it easy, trying to save their tires just a little bit. But the group where Nick Cohan is at, these guys have been using the apron on the front stretch like crazy, getting a little aggressive here and there, as Jordan Erickson did get past Nick Cohan.
Still in the middle of a field though, they're going to have to try some strategy later, you would think, to get up there. Of course, the problem is, with only 19 trucks on the track, that's pretty big. There might not be a lot of cautions, which would create strategy opportunities, although Nick Cohan and Troy Haight were very close in turn 1 and 2 there.
Yeah, if you start pitting early for tires, that's a good gamble, but here's the problem with that gamble is if you come down pit road, take 4 fresh tires and fill it with fuel, exit pit road, all of a sudden you're stuck 1 lap down, and you may not be the first car 1 lap down, and all of a sudden a caution comes out. That's just a risky gamble, but we got a huge battle here for 10th.
Yeah, we might have a caution very soon on our hands here. Troy Haight and Nick Cohan run side by side. Behind them, they've got Alan Young and Jonathan Holstein, and then Aaron Cleanhans and Edward Bray, and there's a few drivers eating popcorn behind them. But while they're racing like this, Jordan Erickson in 9th has been able to gap them.
Yeah, if you're behind this big pack right here and you're eating popcorn, this week may be a good week to eat that popcorn. Next week it won't be a good week to eat popcorn there, because they might all be involved in a big one.
Well, they could all be involved in a big one here. I mean, these drivers are giving it about, I'd say, 80-90% throttle all the way around here. Don't touch that brake pedal on this fast speedway.
And believe it or not, the more you're going to race side-by-side racing like this, the more you're going to burn off your tires. So, and it's the trucks just handle much different when you're not racing side-by-side with one another. They actually wear more if you're racing really hard side-by-side. So these guys are getting pretty aggressive early, trying to make up as many positions as they can.
Edward Bray slid a lot on the exit of 4. He was on the bottom lane, kind of almost, he would have slid up into the high lane into the truck above him if he kept it in it, so he lost a lot of speed there.
And 24, Alan Young sliced to the inside, almost got clipped doing it, as he's on the bottom underneath the number 73 of Jonathan Holstein.
Meanwhile, up front, there's a new driver in 2nd place. Josh Tanner has made the move by Scott Formosa, but they're all still running in a 3-truck pack up there behind Jarzik.
Yeah, Yazik's actually been caught. Josh Tanner's right on his tail along with Scott Formosa, but I think Josh Tanner is the better truck out of the top 3 trucks right now. So we'll have to see if Josh Tanner can run down the race leader, Brian Yazik. Yazik disappeared on my end.
Yeah, he's disappeared on my end too, and he has not came back. I think Brian Yazik may have lost the connection. Well, this is about 3 or 4 cars. Alan Young, Drew Carroll, and Jonathan Holstein as well.
Holy moly. I hope nobody's getting bad weather by them.
Well, I mean, these are all across the country. I mean, the only 2 pursuit drivers that includes are Brian Jarzik and Bryce Whitson. But all of a sudden, we're down to just 6 of the 8 pursuit drivers still out there on track. Aaron Cleanhans is out too.
Funny thing is there, Sam, is that I am not seeing anybody. Okay, now I am. Before I wasn't seeing anybody with terrible internet connection issues at all.
They just reappeared. They just all reappeared. Brian Jarzik is in the lead again. And if it credited his lap times...
And speaking...
Let's see when he crosses the line here, if it logs him as being in first position or... Wow, so it didn't count Brian Jarzik's lap time, even though he's been leading the whole race. I almost wonder if the league organisers need to throw a manual caution here and get these drivers back on the lead lap, or if they're just going to play ball.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on my end right now or on iRacing, but at least on my end, everybody's just flat out disappeared here.
Yeah, we've still got trucks circling the track. Brian Jarzik leads the field and was leading the race, but now he's a lap down, so that would put Josh Tanner in the lead, Scott Formosa in second, Gary Whitson in third, Austin Missler in fourth, and then there's a battle for fifth, and Michael Krobach looking underneath Mark McCrary.
Yeah, Michael Krobach on the bottom of the side of the racetrack. Love that number 31 machine of Mark McCrary. As they head down into turns number 3 and 4, Jordan Erickson getting pretty tight to that rear bumper, that number 7.
Alright, I think I'm showing, of all those names that we were mentioning, it's showing us Brian Jarzik in 16th place. Well, the two drivers behind him on course in position are Jonathan Holstein and Alan Young. So they all went about a lap or two without being credited for those laps, and Brian Jarzik right now is actually on the tail end of a lead lap. Holstein and Young are 1 lap down. Jeffrey Belt, we saw him pull into the pits, he's 4 laps down, and then he's 12 laps down, and Aaron Kleinhans's actually lost the internet connection whenever what happened about 5 laps ago happened, so Aaron Kleinhans was a big lose out of that. Although you could say Brian Jarzik's the loser too, in that he's leading the field, he's leading the race, he's just been driving around there in the lead and he's not leading.
Yeah, I mean, how weird is that for it to happen here? I mean, when you're racing online, all of a sudden you just disappear and you think you're the race leader, and all of a sudden you're not. But I mean, he's going to need a caution to get back.
Yeah, these drivers running, Edward Bray is having some connection issues right now, actually. See a few trucks blinking on my end. Brian Jarzik going up again, and I think Brian Jarzik is letting Josh Tanner by, because he realises he's blinking.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on my end, because I had some connection issues to the iRacing server myself, and I'm seeing, according to internet stuff here, or qualities, they're kind of low on some drivers. I don't know if it's on my end or their end, but I'm sure you and I can confirm both, Sam, that Brian Jarzik is continued blinking here.
Yeah, several drivers are right now. But as for the leaders, I mean, for about 3/4 of field, they're all doing alright. And Brian Jarzik's just driving like nothing's happening. He's trying to stay on the tail end of a lead lap.
Yeah, that's all Brian Jarzik can really do is just drive and just kind of stay out of trouble and kind of stay out of the way of everybody else. He's doing everything he can to stay on the lead lap. Right now he's hoping for a caution, but if a caution does come out and all of a sudden Josh Tanner passes him, it's either he's going to get the lucky dog or the wave around.
Battle for 9th position on track between Nick Cohan and Nicky Formosa. Still odd to see Nick Cohan up the back there, but like you say, he's quite good at pit strategy. See if he can use any of that later on to get up. And now Brian Jarzik is finally a lap down. Josh Tanner has finally got under him.
And speaking to pit strategy, it would not surprise me if Nick Cohan will be coming in within the next 5 laps, Sam, because in about 10 laps or so, the pit window will be open, so we'll just have to see. And usually Nick Cohan's one of the first drivers down pit road, so we'll have to see if Nick Cohan will be the first taker.
And then we see him back running in 9th. Now the interesting thing about Josh Tanner getting by Jarzik is Scott Formosa hasn't got by Jarzik, so that's actually created a bit of a gap between our two leaders. While there's just been a pass for 3rd, Jordan Erickson has gone by Gary Whitson.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Formosa, he's right now he's not in clean air. If anybody's that's in clean air, it is Josh Tanner, and you want that clean air to really work with. But, I mean, you can also use the draft here too, Sam. The draft can play big dividends here at Vegas. So Scott Formosa, as long as Brian Yazik doesn't continue to blink, he should be able to get to that back bumper eventually. But right now, Yazik's actually running like he's in the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, he has the pace to be up there. He doesn't seem to be disrupting anyone. Everyone's connections seem to have cleaned up for now, as we have storms in the United States. Apparently, he must have got an iRacing server wire. All that is above my technical knowledge. Aaron Kleinhans has returned to the race, but he's going to be multiple laps down when he gets back out there on course, and he's not in the pursuit anymore. He was one of the drivers who was eliminated. Meanwhile, here comes Jordan Eriksson looking on Scott Formosa for second.
Oh,
and
caution is out.
Yeah, the league organisers have thrown it, and I'm guessing that will be let the drivers who have been impacted by the connection issues back onto the lead lap here.
Well, the caution will be out, as from what I am understanding, Yazik will be back in the lead lap. He's clearly one lap down, and I think you just said there, Sam, they're going to let these guys who have some kind of issues here, are going to let them out in the lead lap.
Now, of course, whatever happens here, Brian Yazik will get on the lead lap at the very least, because he gets the DSD, the Derek Spears design Lucky Dog will put him back onto that lead lap. A Ford Mustang pace cars picked them up, and pit road is about to get very busy.
Yeah, as of right now, Sam, I expect about 4 tires on each and every single truck. I can't see anybody taking 2 tires right now. In my opinion, it's too long of a run, but I've seen some pretty intense, crazy strategy before, so we'll just have to wait and see as the pace car will lead them towards the entrance of pit road, as pit road is open.
If anyone's going to take 2 tires, in my opinion, it's going to be Nick Cohan here, just because no matter what the strategy or the circumstances, he's the one that would do it. Now, something that surprised me, Scott Formosa did not get up on the bumper of Josh Tanner entering the pits. Josh Tanner has about 5 truck lengths over the rest of the field coming into the pits, and providing he doesn't overshoot his stall, and he does not, if everyone takes his 4 tires, this should be an easy win for him off of pit road.
Yeah, it should be an easy win, but I think the reason why he didn't get up to that back bumper is because probably the iRacing service is telling him to stay behind the 15 truck, which is Brian Yazik, and so you can't beat him onto pit road, otherwise iRacing gives you a black flag for it.
Alright, so Yazik got the lucky dog, and he'll come into the pits this time and probably get the and then be able to line up on the tail end of the lead lap. Jonathan Holstein, Alan Young, and Aaron Kleinhans, they're all the ones we're going to wait to see if they'll get put back on the lead lap or not. It's probably going to take a little while, so we're going to take a quick break. We will be back for the restart here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello and welcome back to Las Vegas. Now, the first quarter of this race, a big story has been internet issues, and so the organisers threw the caution flag to give all the drivers who had lost a lap because of the internet issues a lap back. So Brian Jarzik got the DSD Lucky Dog, Jonathan Holstein and Alan Young got the wave around, Aaron Kleinhans was 13 laps down by the time he returned to the server, so they're not going to give him 13 wave arounds. We'd be here a little while, although the caution flag has been thrown again. Not quite sure what the story behind that is. You hearing something there, Tanner?
Yeah, I think it's for the guys to catch on up to the rear of the field. They all weren't all lined up just yet. They're all trying to get reordered here and get ready to go back green. So they're going to extend it another caution for extend it another lap under yellow just to make sure to be safe.
So up front here, you see Josh Tanner is still leading the race, but there's a new driver in second place. Our spotter David Corby pointed out that Jordan Eriksson had the fastest pit stop under the caution there, under the caution flag that was thrown to give those drivers their lap back, and that moves him up into second position with a 14.1 second pit stop. So he'll get to restart alongside Josh Tanner there. However, Tanner, that could kind of be a curse in disguise, because he's got to restart on the high side, and when all these drivers have fresh tyres, they can all run flat out. The low side is the desired line because it's the quickest way around, the shortest way around.
Yeah, on fresher tires on a restart like this, the bottom side's going to be the fastest, but as a run goes on, you might see drivers hop up to that middle groove on entry of the corner or enter in high and then exit low. I mean, the line can go all over the place here on a longer run. So Jordan Eriksson not in the preferred groove, but hopefully he can find an opening to the inside and then try to race it.
Been a very interesting race up front. Our first leader, Jeffrey Belt, pulling away, pulled into the pits. We have absolutely no idea why. And then Brian Jarzik was leading. He disappeared for a lap, returned to the server because of the server issues. But he was still leading the field. He was on the tail end of a lead lap. iRacing hadn't logged him because his car hadn't been officially registered by the server as completing that lap. So that moved Josh Tanner up into the lead. Ultimately, it's moved Josh Tanner up into the lead, and he's about to lead the field back to green here for Mustang Pace Car in the pits. So it's lap 30. We've got 70 laps to go. Here we go.
Green flag is back out here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Some drivers are feeling lucky and some aren't so lucky at the moment, but the race ain't over just yet. Josh Tanner will lead the field down in turn number 1 along with Jordan Eriksson and Scott Formosa underneath them down in turns 1 and 2, and along with Austin Missler. Oh no, yes, not Austin Missler, that was number 7, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, we are in Las Vegas, so you're allowed to get 7 and 11 mixed up. Both good numbers on the roulette table there. Michael Krobach in the number 7 in third place, looking under Scott Formosa for second, but Formosa holds it for now.
Yeah, Michael Krobach having a good showing early on here. He started 9th. He's up to the 3rd position. But Jordan Eriksson, that tie line on the restart did not pay dividends to him. But right now, ooh, we got some trucks possibly battling here. Looked like it for a second there, back there with Nick Cohan.
Yeah, a lot of good side-by-side racing on this restart, but most of the field has gotten at single file. Aaron Kleinhans, the driver who's lost about 13 laps, just pulled into the pits. I almost wonder if he's going to retire at this point. If he does, that will take it down to 18 cars left in this race. Battle for second, there we go. Krobach by Formosa.
Yeah, Krobach using that bottom line as an early advantage over that number 80 machine of Scott Formosa. Scott Formosa gets a nice run off turn number 2, but he isn't going to take it towards the inside because the more these guys battle, the more Josh Tanner will pull away, and he's playing with that clean air.
Kleinhans does return to the track, maybe at the speeding penalty on pit road. Talking about pit road, one driver who pitted very late under the caution, who's still on the lead lap, was Nicky Formosa. He was running in about the top 10. That late stop has dropped him back to 15th.
Yeah, Nicky Formosa up back there, started 12th and 15th, just riding right now, just ahead of him, was a pursuit driver, but not anymore, and that is Jeffrey Gilliam, and at number 61, Sim Racing Apps Machine.
And got a battle for 9th place back there. You see them running side by side, but they're single file now. Now you see one driver coming hot behind them. Brian Jarzik, last thing he knew, he was leading this race, and then iRacing told him he wasn't leading the race anymore. He's in a hurry to get back up there in 11th right now.
Yeah, he's one of the fastest trucks in the back there, Sam, and he is hustling. He's trying to do everything he can to get back up towards the front. He may have to actually play a little pit strategy if this continues to go green to try to get back up towards that top 5 area if he wants to lead again. But I bet one thing Brian Yaz is glad about is that he does have a bonus point under his belt.
Yeah, because of course he was leading races earlier on. Krobok has really ran down Josh Tanner here. I almost wonder if we're going to see a lead change in the next lap or two.
He's really running them down, Sam. He's actually running faster lap times than what Josh Tanner is. And actually, he's going to try to go to the higher side here, just a lane up. Still using the bottom lane, but just kind of drifted up the track a little bit, see what he can gain. Coming off turn number 2, looks like Krobok's got the run. And Josh Tanner may have taken that run away by using the apron of the track.
Yeah, breaker draft. Tanner keeping that inside lane, which is a desired lane around here, especially when it comes to passing. Krobok trying to get the run by going on the high side and then cross over on the inside, entering the next turn.
Usually on a longer run, you want to have that higher side to be an advantage to you, and that's what Krobok is really looking at right now. He's going to the high side right here. Trying, but Josh Tanner used that apron as an advantage to pull up 110 away from him. And that's actually huge.
Yes, only lap 38, but these two know that the lead is very important right now, especially in a race where there doesn't seem to be a lot of trouble. So clean and green means you want to get out front so you can stay out front. But right now, Krobok cannot find a way to get there.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, if he's going to try to get around Josh Tanner, he needs a really good run off the exit of the corner. So as these tires wear out, he might want to back up the corner just a little bit so he can get that huge run on exit.
Meanwhile, Brian Jarzik has caught the tail end of a pack here. He's going underneath Tim Knott here for 10th place. Of course, the problem is, if Knott pinches him down too much, that could make his truck get loose on the inside. Now, at this point in the run, they do have to lift entering turn 3, and you see there Jarzik lifts a little bit later. He's going to try and use that to try and clear Tim Knott.
Yep, just as I said before, lift a little bit early so you can get a nice big run off the exit of the corner. Jarzik does that, and he's using the apron as the advantage. Now, using that apron as an advantage allowed him to get side by side with Gary Whitson as these drivers head down into turn number 1. Jarzik gets 2 for 1 right there. Battle for the lead, though.
Yeah, Krobok is actually going to the high side, like you mentioned, and he thinks this run is long enough now where Josh Tanner may have to lift to conserve his tyres there on the low side and make sure he doesn't slide up into Krobok. Right now they're side by side as they go down the front straight, complete lap 40.
Yeah, that's an awesome thing about dynamic tracks here on iRacing is that it opens up multiple grooves around the racetrack, and Michael Krobok, as you can see right here, gets a huge run on the exit of the corner around Josh Tanner. New leader, Michael Krobok.
And I almost wondered if Scott Formosa would be able to capitalize on it when that battle took place, but he's really dropped back over the last few laps.
Yeah, he has, and these trucks, it could be that he could be getting a little tight. And he's right now probably screaming for some stickers. So right now, and actually that number 31, Mark McCrary, is actually gaining on a little bit along with Jordan Erickson.
Yeah, Jordan Erickson finally up here to the top 5. This is more familiar territory for that number 88 machine.
It is, but we're mostly seeing him out front there, Sam. He's led a lot of laps this season. He's won a few races, but right now he's up there in the top 5, battling strong.
So we're coming to approach a halfway point in just a few laps here. As a matter of fact, in about 10 laps they'll be as far as they went during the first run again. And the first time we saw them all come into the pits, they all took 4 tyres. So that means if this run goes on for too much longer, they'll all be on that 4 tyre strategy again. Jordan Erickson looking for 4th place underneath Mark McCrary.
Yeah, in about 15 laps, approximately 15 to 18 laps, we should start seeing some pit stops. We have yet to see green flag pit stops today, but the way these guys are racing and all the clean racing we have been seeing today, it may produce some green flag pit stops here, as long as we don't have any more internet connection troubles.
Yeah, you saw it go quite close there. Mark McCrary was not willing to yield 4th position. He kind of Took a look underneath Jordan Ericsson on the front straight. Ericsson's having none of it though. He's already looking for third place. He's closing on Scott Formosa as we take a look back at Brian Yazek's progress. He's been turning laps as fast, sometimes even faster than the leader as Jordan Ericsson moves up into third.
Yeah, he might be getting more here for third place, and there he goes, right past the number 80 machine of Scott Formosa, as actually Mark McCreary had to drift up the hill a little bit to avoid contact with Scott Formosa.
And he almost makes contact with the wall doing that. So now we've got Yazek's battle at the back of a picture here, and the battle for fourth at the front of a picture.
Whoa.
Nick Cohan's kind of just stuck in the middle.
Yeah, Clown's to the left of me and Joker's to my right, and here I am in the middle, but it ain't Talladega just yet. Yazek and Scott Formosa using that apron to their advantage, trying to get everything that they can.
And Mark McCreary is the good driver, hoping this battle continues because he's running single file up front there, but the battle finally eases up a bit with Austin Missler in fifth, Scotty Formosa in sixth. The battle is now for seventh as Brian Yazek continues his march up through the field, drifts up there though, got quite close to Nick Cohan.
Yeah, and Yazek's going to probably take this position away down in turn 1 and 2, away from Nick Cohan. Nick Cohan, yeah, he will right there. Nick Cohan's actually under fire right now from the number 82 of Troy Haight. Troy Haight actually almost clipped the apron there, had to back off. That's going to be a beneficiary to Nick Cohan.
Meanwhile, not missing anything up front, Michael Crobot continues to lead over Josh Tanner and Jordan Ericsson. They're all spaced out a little bit. Ericsson hasn't been really reeling in Tanner right now, but still the first half of a race. Closing in on the second half of the race, so there's still plenty of time for Jordan Ericsson to get up there, if he is able to do that.
Yeah, believe it or not, the fastest guy right now in the top 5 is Mark McCreary. He's the only driver in the top 5 that's run a 31.2. Everybody else is running 31.3s or 31.4s. So Mark McCreary, the fastest car so far in the top 5.
Almost had an incident in the battle for 8th place on the exit of 2 there. Troy Haight and Gary Whitson's actually going a bit slow on the front straight there, and Troy Haight's going to get around him. But Troy Haight almost got up into the outside wall. There wasn't any contact, there wasn't really any scares, but it could have been ugly if they weren't paying attention. Good thing is these drivers know what they're doing. They've got some spotters out there helping them, and they're able to keep it clean and green as we approach the halfway point here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yazek tried to go underneath Scott Formosa, but didn't have enough momentum to get side by side with him down in turn number 3. So he kind of had to back off just a little bit. So far he's following the same tracks as Scott Formosa, using the apron aggressively, headed down turn 1. And one thing I have noticed, Sam, since his last restart, is drivers would enter the corner in low, but these guys are really entering the corner using the middle lane of the racetrack and exiting low.
Here we go, battle for 6th. Brian Yazek looking underneath Scott Formosa. This isn't the first time he's looked for the position though. Can he finally pull it off? Well, he will if Formosa gets into the wall. I've got to start calling them by their first name. We do have 2 Formosas in this field. Scott running up here in 6th place, and Nicky back in 13th right now.
Scott Formosa on that higher side. Maybe he might use a little side drive. I don't think it's going to work. Yazek's really strong on the bottom. Actually, he's getting some nice run on the exit of the corner. And it looks like Cohan's going to change lanes here. Doesn't know what lane he wants to be in or help out with the draft, but Yazek's still trying to fight hard on the bottom side of the racetrack.
And as they continue to the battle, we are beyond the halfway point now. Gary Whitson into the pits, who's going to be first of our scheduled green flag stops here.
Yes, sir. So the green flag pit stops has begun here, Sam. Gary Whitson might be coming down and take some 4 fresh tires and fill it up with fuel. And that's probably the strategy to go. Right now, Gary Whitson does not want to caution, because if he goes a lap down, caution comes out, he'll get the lucky dog, but he'll have to start in the back on the next restart.
Austin Missler comes into the pits. He's been running up there. And Tim Knott.
And we haven't mentioned Tim Knott too much here tonight, Sam. He actually cracked the top 10, started 22nd, so he has made moves on the racetrack. And I just heard on the radio, Nick Cohan and Yazek, I believe, are all pitting Mark McCreary this time by.
It's about to get busy out of turn 4 here. Let's make sure they don't run over each other. Tanner comes down okay. Can they all get it woed up all right? McCreary does. Yazek does. Cohan does.
That's about 27 laps on that run, or should I say about 25, 24 laps on that run, Sam, because we did have that extended caution, so these guys can save fuel underneath the caution if they did.
Now they have to all pit again. I think our leaders are coming in this time by. Michael Crowbock, sure enough, leading Jordan Erickson down pit road.
Whoa! Yeah,
Erickson
way to the
got a bit out of shape.
Yeah, way to the inside there.
Yeah, this is when it gets a bit messy out there on the track. Some drivers on old tyres, some drivers on new tyres. No one's really sure who they're battling.
Crowbock misses his pit stall.
That's not good. Whoa, it's really busy. They're 4 wide coming out of turn 2. Talking about it being messy out there. Yeah, Gabby Whitson and Jackie Pelmore, a couple others, they're involved in a huge pack over there in turn 3.
Yeah, just a difference between fresh tires and new tires, man. You feel like you're Superman on new tires.
Still got some drivers who have yet to pit. Troy Haight, Scott Formosa, Alan Young, Nicky Formosa, Mark Myers, Jackie Pelmore, Edward Bray are all still out there.
Yeah, they're reaching about 20, well, according to my stats, last time they were on pit road was 30 laps ago, but you do have to include a couple caution laps in that, so it's about 28, 29 laps on the tires' green flag run.
Yeah, we have a battle for what will be the lead here, because Jordan Erickson just emerged from the pits and Josh Tanner is on the high side of him. Now Erickson has that desired low line, especially when you have the new tyres, you can just run it flat out down there. Oh! He pulls in front of Tanner, there was a bit of contact there.
Whoa, did anybody get in a wall?
I think so, but I think they got away with it.
Yeah, there was contact. There was a little contact. Both drivers just scraped the wall, but I'm not seeing any heavy damage between the two drivers. That got a little scary. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, that was a little contact scraping to the wall just a little bit. But both drivers seem to be running okay.
There's some trucks who haven't pit yet going very slow in turns 3 and 4 that these drivers are all having to work their way around right now.
Yeah, I believe that's Troy Haight, Scott, actually both Formosa, Scott and Nicky. Alan Young, Mark Mars, Jackie Pelmore, and Edward Bray are all the drivers that have yet to make a pit stop.
And they can go a little bit longer. We're assuming about 34 laps on fuel. We went
Got
back
Formosa down pit road.
Of course, the thing is, even if they stretch it to lap 64, so that they still won't be able to make it on the end without the help of a caution.
Yeah, according to my calculations here, Sam, you're going to need at least about a stop, at least one more stop. It might turn into 2 stops depending upon if you can make it to the end. You got to remember it's about 32 to 34 laps on a fuel run here at Vegas. So some drivers actually took a tire advantage by pitting early.
Troy Haight into the pits.
It's about 32 laps approximately on green flag tires.
And Edward Bray coming in too. Still some trucks out there. Nicky Formosa, Alan Young, Mark Myers, Jackie Pelmore all leading them around, hoping for a caution. Meanwhile, Jordan Erickson has not only held on to Josh Tanner after that contact, he's really pulled away from them. And I think if you do look at the front of that 84 machine of Tanner, it does have a bit of damage.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to hurt him too much. It looked like minor contact, Sam.
See our Dougie Beard camera work here. If we can get a close-up on that grille, you can see it just doesn't look quite normal. Maybe that's costing him the speed here to Ericsson right now.
It definitely can, Sam. And if you puncture that nose in a little bit, it might puncture your radiator to cause the temperatures to go up. So right now doesn't have anybody in front of him, so he's working with clean air a little bit. But trying to look at the lap times, that can actually tell a lot by looking at lap times between other drivers and Josh Tanner.
I think some more drivers need to plan short pitting. We really hadn't talked about Gary Whitson a lot today, and once all of these stops have cycled through, he's going to be sitting in third place. Granted, he's got some trucks behind him that are running him down quite quickly, but how hard will it be for them to get by Gary?
Well, we already seen it's tougher to get around this place, and we did see Michael Krobach battle for the race lead on Josh Tanner by using the higher side of the racetrack. And Gary Whitson is on older tires than what Krobach is, so it could be a tire difference. This is the first time we've seen a couple lap difference between the two tires. Between the two drivers, I should say.
Formosa and Jan are into the pits. That means within the next couple of laps, Jordan Eriksson will cycle through to the lead again, because every driver has made their stop. Even as late as these drivers are making their stop, with 37 laps left to go at this point, they wouldn't be able to make it to the end without pitting one more time.
Yeah, they're going to have to at least pit in at least one more time. I'm kind of worried about Gary Whitson's strategy. He might have to pit another time, but although for sure he's going to have to make one more pit stop. But although I think he should be okay.
So Gary Whitson will resume in third, and then Michael Krobach will be in fourth there. The trucks Krobach has on his inside there, both a lap down. Jackie Pelmore and Aaron Kleinhans. Kleinhans has had a terrible night. He's put that truck in the wall at some point, even after losing the connection. Brian Jarzik just past Austin Missler to move up into what will be fifth position. So he's rallying his way back through the field there.
Yeah, just ahead of him, you mentioned Aaron Kleinhans in that 85 machine. Brian Jarzik still looking strong on the racetrack, using pretty much the same pit strategy as others. I figured Nick Cohan would be a guy to really pit early. I didn't expect Gary Whitson to be the earliest guy to pit, but Nick Cohan usually pits the earliest.
Well, Michael Krobach was definitely looking for third place on Gary Whitson in turns 3 and 4, and it didn't work for him. He almost tried to get around out of turn 2 that time, but I think he got a little loose or bogged down by Gary on the exit there, and he's going to have to wait another lap, or at least another turn.
Setting up the exit of the corner, here he goes underneath Gary Whitson down on the front stretch, or attempting to, trying to. I'm surprised he didn't use the apron right there, but cannot make it get down there.
Change for 6th place. Nick Cohan goes by Austin Missler.
If you look at Michael Krobach right here, he's trying to do that high side move like he did to Josh Tanner earlier. He wants that higher lane.
The reason you see Jackie Pelmore going by here is because, as he's going by both of them there.
Three wide here. 3 wide, yeah.
Yeah, he's on newer tyres because he was one of the later trucks that pit, and that shows you just how much pitting a couple laps later can really help. Brian Jarzik joining in this battle now.
Tell you what, all that activity on the front stretch really allowed Jarzik to pull up to the back bumpers of Gary Whitson and Michael Krobach. There was nowhere for Brian Jarzik to go, as Krobach really working that higher line than what Gary Whitson is using to work that low line with.
Now you see that the two trucks on the high side are teammates that work close together there, Krobach and Jarzik.
Right here.
Now.
Krobach's gonna get the run right here.
Yeah, and Jarzik's trying to follow him through. Gary could have closed the door on Brian there, but he didn't.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a wise move either, because that might cause some sort of incident on the racetrack, and Jarzik was going to follow Krobach one way or another, using a higher line. But they're all three on the same team, though, too. All three of those trucks are teammates.
They're all Whitson Motorsports. Just you never see them. I mean, Gary just has a different paint scheme, but he has HPP simulation on the hood as well. He just doesn't always seem to run with Krobach and Jarzik. We always see Krobach and Jarzik running side by side. Right now, Gary's going backwards on those old tyres. Nick Cohan now looking on position. Yeah, that bottom line is not working out for Gary Whitson. Gary's doing everything he can to try to keep his positions here, but it's not working out. Everybody's just blowing by him on the outside line, and we see Michael Krobach do that on more than one occasion here tonight. Yeah, Krobach's probably trying to work out how he's fallen so far back of Ericsson. I guess it's because he overshot his pit stall, isn't it? Because he's only 4.5 seconds behind him. But overshooting your pit stall can definitely contribute a lot to that.
A small mistake on pit road can mean could cost you 100 yards on the racetrack there, Sam. It means a lot. So that's why whenever you go down pit road, you want a mistake-free pit stop.
Well, Jordan Erickson definitely had one. Let's not forget that he had a good stop under our caution flag that was thrown out early as well. So his pit crew definitely deserves a raise before the next race at this rate. Right now, Ericsson is looking for his 4th win of the season.
Yep, and if he does win tonight, he wouldn't have to worry about Talladega. He wouldn't have to worry about the next race after Talladega. So right now, he's trying to do everything he can to get that win, not worry about the next 2 races. Oh, we got a spin on the backstretch. Turn 3.
Alan Young, he stays down there though. He lost it. I think he was having connection issues again. I don't know how that would have induced the spin, but I think we just had another connection glitch.
I think it was a connection glitch, and I think he hit the wall off turn number 2 because I'm seeing some right rear damage, unless somebody hit him in the right rear quarter panel.
So, all of the drivers, because I just, on my time in the scoring that I use here, I saw a few names appear red, which means they lost the connection, but they only went for about 5 seconds this time and they all reappeared. Brian Jarzik, as a matter of fact, he's worked himself up into 4th place. He is blinking in and out.
Uh-oh, the internet connection issues are striking again here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Not sure if it's the internet or iRacing, nothing about that is 100% confirmed, but everything seems stable for a while at least.
Yeah, Holstein is blinking, Jan is blinking, Alan Jan is blinking, Tim Knott is blinking, and Brian Jarzik.
Yeah, so with that being said, Sam, those are the same drivers that had the blinking issues earlier in the race.
And our leaders are coming into pit, all of them. Josh Tanner with 25 laps left to go, because in fact he's even getting had a bit of a blink coming into the pits there. Now, they can all make it to the end here, so I guess as soon as the drivers behind Josh Tanner heard he was pitting, they were like, well, we want to pit too.
Well, since you can make it from here, if I'm the race leader, Jordan Erickson, get on pit road now, because if you're going to still stay on that racetrack and those guys on pit road, they're on the track logging laps, you're gonna lose time to them every single lap. So I get down pit road ASAP.
I wonder if this was a team decision, because they were a lot of those were teammates there. And they said, hey, the only way we're going to beat, as Austin Missler's in the pits too, the only way we're going to beat Jordan Erickson is by all pitting early.
Yeah, he had Erickson is coming in right now.
Alright, well, Erickson's pit crew have done good work tonight, and he had a 3 or 4 second lead before this all started. All he needs to do is make sure he doesn't overshoot his pit stall. He should still have a lead of this then.
I think Nick Cohan just picked up a bonus point for leading a lap. He's going to stay out for another lap here. He actually might be coming down pit road fairly soon.
I almost wonder if another reason we saw drivers entering the pits where they were thinking, wow, everyone's having connection issues again, we might have the race organisers throw a caution, let's pit before it happens.
Strung them out though.
Nick Cohan is in, Jordan Erickson comes out, Erickson building, back up to speed, he had a nice pit stop, but there's Josh Tanner, Tanner goes by him.
So that extra couple laps really cost Erickson. As Krobach is going by, I believe Jarzik, he's not too far. Actually, he's coming off turn 2 now, so it's actually a pretty big gap from Krobach to Jarzik, because they all went on pit road at the same time.
Yeah, Jarzik must have had a bad pit stop or something along those lines. He's definitely a mile back there and still in a bit of traffic. Now you see his connection has cleared up a bit. That's not going to help him win this race from back there.
Yeah, he actually had looks like I think he just had a slower pit stop, Sam. According to my records here, he didn't overshoot his pit stall or anything.
Tim Knott has officially retired from the race, even though the connection issues have cleared up. Jeffrey Gilliam into the pit.
This will be interesting to see, because Josh Tanner's only about a second ahead of Michael Krobach. Jordan Erickson is actually about 2 seconds, approximately.
Yeah, and all three of these drivers have led laps tonight. And for Jordan Erickson, he's got slightly fresher tyres with 20 laps left to go. This could set up for a good little shootout here. Now, we still have 7 trucks in front of them that have yet to pit, but we're pretty sure they can't make it to the end without pitting. Unless, of course, your caution came out with about 6 laps to go, and they just keep it in 4th gear and rev it around at about 2,000 RPM and try and cross the line on fumes.
Yeah, I don't know. These guys are going to have to make a pit stop here. They're not really going to gain on Josh Tanner and Krobach and Erickson, really. So all these guys up towards the front here right now are just pretty much racing for honor.
Yeah, but if a caution comes out, of course they still...
It'll change everything.
They'll be ahead of them, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, plus they'll pin a couple guys on down a lap or two. But guys who are 1 lap down and you're not in that lucky dog position... they may take the wave around, but it'll hurt them in the long run because they're on older tires.
Even though we're not sure that strategy will work, let's assume that it will for a moment. Scott Formosa is out there leading the race right now, and Troy Haight is the one in 2nd place. Granted, we think they both have to pit again.
Yeah, I believe they'll have to pit again no matter what here, Sam. So that's pretty much, let's see, Scott Formosa, Troy Haight, Jonathan Holstein, Edward Bray, Mark Myers. That's the top 5 running order at the moment. And Josh Tanner, who's already made his pit stop, is currently in the 6th position. So these guys are pretty much begging on a caution right now, trying to gamble on a track strategy or a pit strategy. But, I mean, you're gambling, and this is Las Vegas, so...
Yeah, of course. I almost wonder if they probably want to wait about 4...
Oh, Formosa!
Which one?
Scott Formosa, I believe. I think he got really slow off of turn number, unless that was just a big tire difference.
No, well, it's gave a lead away to Troy Haight. We'll see what happened to Scott here.
Yep, he actually hit the wall.
He ran out of racetrack. Who put that silly wall there?
It can come on and grab you, Sam. Those walls at any track, really. I mean, the worst wall, I think, is Dover, but... That's actually going to cost Scott Formosa the lead and time.
Almost wonder if these drivers do pit late on in the going, of course, they might just take a splash of fuel. But, I mean, that strategy can't work. If they go down pit road, they're going to ultimately lose time at this point. Even if they do take a splash of fuel, they've just lost too much time being out there on all tires. Now, Jonathan Holstein's on the radio. Not sure if that means our driver from 3rd is about to come in. Sure enough, he is.
Yep. He's coming in, but the strategy of these guys staying out longer like this, I think they're just begging on a caution strategy, so that way they can have that track position. And as of right now, it is not working out for Troy Haight or Scott Formosa, and it definitely didn't work out for Jonathan Holstein, as he's down pit road right now. He's going to take 4 tires, I bet, and fuel that thing up with fuel.
Look at this, Josh Tanner now has Michael Krobach behind him and Jordan Erickson closing in. We said this could be interesting if it goes green to the end. These drivers having about a 20-lap shootout. As I can tell you, connection issues I think are hitting a couple of our cars who have had trouble earlier tonight again, although they look to have cleared up a bit right now. But Tanner, Krobach and Erickson haven't had any of that all night. They're closing up here with 12 laps to go. And
this will be a 3-car battle for the race lead too, once Mark Myers, Edward Bray, Scott Formosa, and Troy Haight pit. So right now, Krobach doing everything he can, looking towards the inside. He's going to tuck that right back in, as Jordan Erickson got the same huge run off of turn number 2.
Well, they're catching up with 2 of the drivers who have yet to pit. They're going to get Mark Myers on the exit of a turn here. Which way is Mark going to go? Because they're closing on him in a hurry.
Yeah, that mixed up a little bit. That allows Erickson to get underneath Krobach.
Oh, they can't go 3 wide. He's going to use him as a pick. Erickson was going to use Myers as a pick for
Krobach up the hill.
And that puts Myers in the wall.
Yeah, that put Myers in the wall, but that cost Krobach some time between Erickson and Erickson to the lead here.
Well, what will be the lead right now? It's He just went from 7th to 4th in 1 lap.
He's got a bad fast truck, but Josh Tanner, he ain't giving up though.
No, he knows this could be for the win here. But
Contact! Contact! Oh boy!
Tanner, can he save it? Yes, he can, but he's lost a lot of time. Don't close the door on Crowbar. He's coming in a hurry.
Hashtag dirt confirmed. Wow, what a drift through the corner like that. Nice save by Josh Tanner.
Yeah, well, that was Tanner, I think, trying to use Edward Bray as a pick for Jordan Erickson. Erickson wasn't having any of it. They made a bit of contact, and Tanner, as you mentioned, did a bit of dirt tracking. That's going to cost him in the long run. Probably means he'll cross the line in 3rd if it stays green to the end.
Man, if only iRacing had tire rubs.
Troy Hayton, Scott Formosa coming into the pits. This will put Jordan Erickson into the lead.
Yeah, all that lap traffic, Sam, actually cost time to Michael Krobach and Josh Tanner, as Jordan Erickson used a lap car as a pick to shake off Josh Tanner. Now, can Krobach track down Erickson? We've seen him do it before on a longer run, or track down other trucks on a longer run.
Yeah, well, Jordan Erickson had been the one catching Krobach and Josh Tanner at the start of all of this. The thing that gets me is that Michael Krobach, I think, is the one driver who didn't have contact. Josh Tanner and I think Jordan Erickson got together in that little moment they had with the lap truck. Michael Krobach, remember, he just went up high and slid high, so he doesn't have any damage. How much is Jordan Erickson's damage slowing him down? It doesn't seem like much. He just ran a pretty fast time.
I just wonder how much that's going to slow down Josh Tanner's time, because he already had damage from early in the race after getting into somebody there before that, crinkled up his front end of the nose.
And if he does lose time, it's Brian Jarzik in 4th who will capitalize.
This is not going to help Josh Tanner, because he's got Jonathan Holstein right there underneath him, and Holstein's on fresher tires than Josh Tanner. So it's costing Josh Tanner some track time right now to catch Krobach.
Now, of course, as we approach the 6 laps to go here, the caution came out on iRacing. No green, white checkered. It would end it. But the way this race has gone, we don't really expect to see any cautions in the closing stages here.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough time to catch Jordan Erickson right now here, Sam. It's about 2 seconds back from the 2nd place, 2.1. Erickson was faster than the top 3.
Brian Jarzik is reeling in Josh Tanner. He took about half a second out of him last time around, but he is 3 seconds behind him. It could be done.
It can be done, but we got a short time to get that done, though. Let's see, Josh Tanner at the line now. Yazik's at the line now. That's the gap between Jarzik and Josh Tanner.
Meanwhile, rounding out the top 5 here is Gary Whitson.
Oh man, a truck just went up the hill in the background 1 and 2. That was Mark Myers going up the hill again. He was just trying to get out of the way.
Wow. I'm gonna double check this before I say it. It might take me a while to double check this, but I believe our top 7 runners, as Jackie Palmore pits from 8th, our top 7 runners are the 7 drivers in the pursuit. That is absolutely awful news for Bryce Whitson.
You are absolutely right, Sam. Oh my god, I didn't even realize that. I'm just paying attention to the racing, everything that's going on the track, and here it's like, oh yeah, the pursuit drivers. And you just mentioned it, the top 7. That is horrible for Bryce Whitson. I mean, that's going to be a lot of points to make up the next 2 races, and you don't really want to make that up at Talladega, because anything can happen at Talladega, and the big one can happen at the snap of a finger.
Battle for second, shaping up a bit in the closing laps. Krobach 1 second ahead of Tanner. Tanner 1.5 seconds ahead of Jarzik. They're all about 2 seconds ahead of Gary Whitson in 5th, and then Nick Cohan and Austin Missler round out the pursuit drivers in the top 7 there. Jordan Erickson, he's really going to be the only winner out of this, because he knows he's going into Talladega with a win. Michael Krobach, at caution, that'll end it.
That'll end the race. That was Edward Bray. Down turn 1 and 2.
Run inside, but he got loose coming off the apron. That's the problem with running the apron. Wow, he almost T-boned another truck there.
That was Mark Myers.
Yeah, but let's go back to live. Let's go back to live action if we can, though. Once we get one more angle of this replay, we'll see what's like on board, because Jordan Erickson has just caught the pace car on the back straight as the white flag is out, and Mark Myers, the truck that almost T-boned him if you had the camera out the rear view there.
Nicky,
it was a lot scarier angle.
I think that's Scott Formosa that almost T-boned him too.
So Jordan Erickson is going to be the big winner here, because he goes into Talladega knowing that he is locked into the elimination, the championship round of 4. Bryce Whitson, the big loser really, he's basically going to have to win at Talladega or the race after. All the rest have it all to play for, finishing between 2nd and 7th positions, very close in the points, but give the win and lock into the elimination round of 4 to Jordan Erickson. He takes the W here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
What a win by Jordan Erickson here today at Las Vegas. Now he does not even have to worry about Talladega or Rockingham, which is the next race after Talladega.
Let's go ahead and give Jordan Erickson our M-Spec Hard Charger of a Race award here, because he started in 10th place. Let's not forget, we talked about how slow he was in practice and qualifying. 11th in practice, 10th in qualifying, running around the middle of the field, but it played out in the long run, and with strategy for him, he's gonna take the W here, and you can tell he's happy behind that wheel. Make sure he doesn't run into Krobach there pulling up alongside him.
Gonna burn her down and get the money and all the chips out. You got lucky at Las Vegas.
Maybe one day I will too. Alright, we're gonna take a quick break. We will be back in just a moment on the GSRC. Hello and welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where we just witnessed a very interesting race here at the 1.5 mile speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada. Only one caution for internet issues, but at the end of the day, the top 7 pursuit drivers all finished in the top 7, whereas the other pursuit driver was not able to make the start, and that will make it interesting for him in Talladega. Let's tell you what we're talking about here, show you what we're talking about. Jordan Erickson took the win there, our M-Spec hard charger of the race. He started 10th. He brought it home in first place ahead of Michael Krobach, who slid up the track in that final run, and Josh Tanner, who had a couple of hairy moments out there with Ericsson and placed in third. Brian Jarzik was leading the race. His connection went out for a lap. He came back. iRacing didn't register him completing that lap, so that put him on the tail end of the lead lap. He worked his way back up into fourth place. Gary Whitson there finished in 5th position ahead of Nick Cohan in 6th, and Austin Missler rounds out our 7 pursuit drivers there in 7th. Only 9 trucks on the lead lap because we only had 1 caution all race long. Those were Jeffrey Gilliam and Troy Haight rounding out those, and then Jonathan Holstein rounds out the top 10.
And outside the top 10, Scott Formosa, who was up there towards the front, but bad luck struck him here in Vegas. He'll finish 11th. Jackie Palmore will finish 12th tonight. Edward Bray, bringing out the final caution of the evening, will finish 13th. Alan Young in 14th tonight. Nicky Formosa will finish in 15th. Mark Myers in 16th. Mark McCrary in the 17th position. Aaron Kleinhans in 18th. Tim Knott in 19th. Rounding out the top 20 is Jeffrey Bell, who pulled off the racetrack. Some sort of issue going on his end. Hopefully better luck next week. Mr. Excitement himself, Drew Carroll, did not start the race tonight, finishes 21st, and Bryce Whitson finishes 22nd, did not start the race due to, I assume, weather, so that's going to hit him hard in the pursuit for the pedals. He's going to have to make up over the next courses of the races of Talladega and Rockingham.
Well, we've got our top 3 drivers here for an interview. We'll begin with our 3rd place finisher, Josh Tanner. And Josh, you, Michael Krobach and Jordan Erickson all led at different points during the race. Any of you could have really won that. Got a bit hairy towards the end there with lap traffic and a 3-wide scenario with Jordan Erickson. Can you talk us through it?
Well, I had him on the inside all the way up to his left front tire, and he doored me. So, it's a miracle I was able to hang on to it, and then even more of a miracle I was able to bring it home.
Now, all 7 of the elimination drivers that were able to make the start, the pursuit drivers rather, that were able to make a start, and then Bryce Whitson wasn't able to make a start, all 7 of you placed in the top 7. So does it really mean a whole lot that you're able to place 3rd place, whereas Austin Missler was only back then 7th?
No, I mean that's why I knew that this was going to be my best shot to win in this round. Talladega is a toss-up to anybody, so I felt like this was my best shot. And then, I got run over twice, so it makes it kind of difficult to win a race whenever you get hit twice by the same person.
Yeah, talking about that first incident with Jordan Erickson coming out of turn 2, could you tell us exactly what happened there? And also, how much did that shake up your truck? Because we did see a bit of damage to the nose, but you were still running up front.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, it didn't make it terrible, but it made it to where I didn't feel competitive anymore. And I was all the way up against the wall. I don't know where he expected me to go, and I just took my nose off.
Well, the good news, though, is you are still 3rd. Like you say, Talladega is a bit of a toss-up that could hurt you next month. Hopefully you're still able to get into the elimination round of 4. What are your feelings about, I believe they said it's Rockingham is the 3rd round of this set of the elimination?
I don't have any experience at Rockingham, which is another reason that I thought that this was going to be my best opportunity to just go ahead and lock myself in. So I'm not feeling particularly confident about that track. Luckily, plenty of time to practice, but and then Talladega being the toss-up that it is, I could see myself locking myself in at Talladega, but I could just as easily see myself finishing last. So it's going to be an interesting couple races.
Absolutely it is. Well, commiserations that you weren't able to get the win out there tonight, Tanner, but I'll tell you what, we saw some fantastic racing out there. A great strategy, and it all stayed green to the end. Thanks for putting on the show up out front.
All right, thanks, Sam.
That was our third place finisher, Josh Tanner. Let's go one position up the podium to Michael Krobach.
Catching up with Michael Krobach here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I'm sure he'd rather be good than lucky, but you overshot your pit stall at one point, and before that you were running well in the top 5, and then after that you came back to run well in the top 10 throughout most of the evening. Tell us about your race, and I guess those pit road mistakes can really cost you a lot of yards on the racetrack.
Yeah, Tanner, pit road has been our Achilles heel all season long between, speeding or missing our mark coming in, but our number 7 HPP simulation clipping that Apex TSK designs, sim racing apps, Canadian Mini, Indy, Chevy was awesome tonight. We were really fast. We didn't qualify very good. Had to start, around 9th, but after that first caution when everything was going crazy with all the server issues and stuff, we restarted 5th, and we were flying up through the field there, had a great battle with Josh Tanner, got the lead, and then pit road troubles bit us again. I didn't want to cut off Jordan coming into stall there, and just got a little bit too hot, and had to back it up, and that gave away the lead, and we had to do a little bit different strategy there to try to get it back, and I thought 2 tires might work, and just so happened that the 84 took 2 tires, and I think we were a bit faster than him on that run. We were cutting that gap down, almost had a shot at the lead, and then just got in some lap traffic there, and 88 got us by both, and that was it, not meant to be.
Yeah, and I've been watching you at times throughout this race, and at first looked like everybody was diving down towards the bottom on fresher tires. You, however, on a longer run, decided to change your line up by entering the corner high and exiting low, and you were trying to pass trucks using that higher line. Was there just more grip on that higher line as the race went on, green flag?
Yeah, I was running there trying to save my tires the first run, and we did a pretty good job on that, but I thought there was still something on the table, and so one lap I just tried something a little bit different in turn 1, and by golly, it was hooked up. That 7 truck was flying there when we found that groove, so I think there was a little bit of grip as the run went on in the second lane there, and kind of arcing it down on exit. We were flying. I think 1 and 2 I was killing them, but 3 and 4 is where everybody was pretty even, kind of tough to pass.
Yeah, it looked like it was tough to pass there. Some drivers were getting tight off the corners on my vantage point, and you were just kind of finding your groove on the racetrack, which was produced some fun racing out there as well. Now with Las Vegas out of the way, and you finished 2nd here, so you're going to be up there in the points in this round. Our next race, Talladega. How do you feel about your chances on trying to score a victory at Talladega Superspeedway?
Well, when we were running there around lap 60 and I was leading the race, I thought, man, if we can get out of here, win this race, and not have to worry about Talladega, I would be ecstatic. But wasn't meant to be, so we're not safe, we're not locked into the next round. I love plate racing, we're always up front, but it never ends well. So hopefully we can, have a little bit of different luck. We've had, I think this is like our 10th or something straight finish in the top 7. Hopefully this momentum is going to, carry us forward. Our luck's turned around with a couple great sponsors coming on board, and I hope we can, make it through to the final round.
Before I let you go, Michael, I'm curious on a driver standpoint. Whenever you race at Talladega and you're in the chase, or in this case, the pursuit of the pedals, how much stress is it entering Talladega can put a pressure on you? Do you feel pressured as a driver entering Talladega?
Yeah, I mean, so much is just out of your control. Getting caught in the big one and stuff. When you're racing 3 and 4 wide, especially with the trucks have a wild aero package at Talladega. We're probably going to see some awesome 3-4 wide racing in a couple weeks when we go to that track. We've run up front at every plate race, and part of me wants to kind of hold back and have a conservative run, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do next week. But the other part of me wants to put on a hell of a show for our sponsors. So I don't know what you're going to see from the number 7, but I promise you I'll make it exciting.
All right, Michael, I'm sure you will. Well, congratulations on your 2nd place finish tonight, and we will see you in the next race for this series at Talladega.
Thanks, Tanner, and thanks for an awesome broadcast once again.
That was Michael Krobach finishing in the 2nd position tonight. And Sam, you've caught up with all the dollar bills flying up in the air, all the $100 bills, I should say. You caught up with Jordan Erickson in victory lane.
Viva Las Vegas! The guy bringing in the big money tonight is Jordan Erickson. He locks himself into the elimination round of 4. Congratulations, Jordan.
Thanks, Tanner. Or Samuel, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Man, that was I mean, we had one caution for internet connection troubles. You, Crowbok, and Josh Tanner could have all won that race. You put on a whale of a show up there. How did you get the victory in the end?
And I just saved a little bit there. I knew those guys come out with 2 tires, so I knew that I had to put it on them with 4, and I couldn't get held up. I know Tanner probably isn't very happy with me that I made that little move on him, but I needed to go. I mean, if we would have caught a caution there, I don't think I would have been able to pull it off. So, you know, got to do what you got to do to get the win.
Yeah, you had two small incidents out there with Josh Tanner, and he spoke on both of them when he was talking to us a little while ago. He placed 3rd place. Do you want to give your view on both incidents and how they affected your truck?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I it's the first race back in the you know, around that matters for me since I won Mosport. So, you know, I had to do what I had to do to get the win, and I couldn't let that him trying to pick me with that lap car hold me up. So I knew my only shot, you know, at trying to maintain the lead was to go 3 wide right there, and you know that's what I did.
Yeah, and it definitely got a bit hairy. You all held on to it, and you were the one who came out up top here. Now, how does... I mean, obviously this locks you into the elimination round of 4, so you can just go the Talladega and the Rock and have fun. You still have to make both races, though, to get to the elimination round of 4. I guess you're going to be out there for the race wins. Will you be experimenting with strategy or anything?
I think at Rockingham I will try a little bit, try to see what I can do, figure out, you know, how much fuel I can save under cautions, all that kind of stuff. Maybe try to figure something out, but for the most part, you know, just go for wins. I'm kind of glad that I don't have to worry about Talladega because, you know, that's always even more of a roll of the dice than Las Vegas is.
This is your 4th win this season, Tanner. How would you rank it among your other 3 that you've had?
And this has got to be the best. This is probably one of my worst tracks. I didn't practice very well, didn't really qualify all that great, but fast when it counted. The thing about all that is, like, it just takes me a while to figure out laps, and I don't put a lot of practice in, so that's probably hurting me too, but I'm just ecstatic to get the win out of the way and be able to not worry for another couple weeks.
And I guess my last question has got to be, is are you going to give your iRacing virtual pit crew a raise?
They need to, huh? Yeah, those guys were on it tonight. I felt like every time I went into the pits, it was just a second faster every single time.
Hey, maybe you lucked in on that side, but you drove a whale of a race. It got interesting out there up front, that's for sure. You go into Talladega and Rockingham with that win under your belt. We look forward to seeing you back in those races. We'll let you go and celebrate your victory. Don't gamble all of that money in Las Vegas. It doesn't always work out for all of us.
Thanks, guys.
Alright, well, that was our race winner, Jordan Erickson, and I've got to say, Tanner, it got a little rough there, yes, between Jordan Erickson and Tanner Shaw and the other Tanner, Josh Tanner. but I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, that was really clean racing. Those guys really put on a great show tonight.
Yeah, I got a little heated up there on track, but that's just only the beginning, Sam, because the next race for this series is Talladega Superspeedway, where anything can happen. You can start dead last and be up towards the front within the first about 6 to 8 laps of the race, and you're just going to be going back and forth all race long, and all of you sim racing fans and racing fans out there know how Talladega and Daytona work, so I'm really looking forward to that Talladega race, and hopefully to see the big one, but at the same time, you don't want to see the big one because that's huge pursuit for the pedal implications.
Yeah, it seems all of the drivers tonight were saying, no, we weren't racing the win to say we won Las Vegas, we were racing for the win to say we don't have to worry about taking the win in Talladega. And so that will be coming up at October 19th, next month. So what will these drivers be doing the next couple of weeks, you ask? Well, they will be racing in their Xfinity, the Grand National Series, here on Wednesday night, still on the Global Sim Racing channel. In fact, they will be at Kansas next week. They will be racing, so be sure to check it out. Same time, same place here on the Global Sim Racing channel, 9 PM Eastern Time next Wednesday night. We would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series for coming here tonight and putting on a fantastic show. We would also like to thank the makers of the various software and hardware that you see listed on your screen. Thanks to the team today, Tanner Sharp, Joe Peak, David Corty, who helped us out with spotting, and also our camera guru Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSRChannel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A special thanks goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. All of our upcoming races are the series on screen, so be sure to check those out, mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. I think some of you guys have probably rehearsed this script by now, but until next time, race clean, race hard, and all say it with me, we'll see you on the track.